Well. Here we are again. It's that time. It's command training with, you know who it is. It's me. And we're going to be talking today again, continuing our discussion about DocuSign. DocuSign is, it's the way we sign stuff. It's the signing part of the document. It's the part where we take a document and we get it signed. Boy, this is some profound stuff here today. If you're here, if you're in Facebook, say hi. I saw a little, hey, Sue. I saw a little flash go by there. If you are in YouTube, say hi. And nobody's over there right now, but I'm sure that that place will get packed. You know, that room over in YouTube, those guys over there, they're crazy. Well, welcome. I'm Robert, and your local Market Center technical trainer. And we're going to be continuing our discussion about DocuSign today. Now, here's the thing. If you didn't watch this morning's class, 10 a.m. this morning, today is the 31st of August, by the way. First of all, the class is now already up on YouTube, and you can watch that. And it was creating the details and the documents page, the details page in Command, getting it ready for DocuSign. Now we're going to shift over and we're going to start taking a look at how to work inside of DocuSign. It is so important that we do these things this way, not because it's the right way, but because it's the easy way. There's so many times that I've talked to people lately where they're doing things that they think is the easy way, and it's just dragging their feet through the mud. Make it easy on yourself. Follow these examples, follow these little procedures, and I swear it's going to be easier for you to get things done. And, you know, I can tell you, Mariah will really appreciate some of these things that if you just make it a little bit easier. But I'm just saying, you know, just kidding. Hey, Sue. All right, so listen, here we are. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to this one here. And it's not that big giant screen. No, I want the other one. I want this. There we go. Boom. Got it all dialed in for you. So here we are. We are looking at Command, of course, as we would hope so. And in Command, we're on our main page here. This is the dashboard. And we're going to jump over into a, we're going to jump into an opportunity. That's the word I'm looking for. And how do we get to an opportunity? What is the methodology that we use to open a specific opportunity? I'll wait. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to wait. I'm going to tell you. We're going to go to a contact. We're going to go to the contact who is the primary person for the opportunity. You must be so tired of hearing me say this, but it's true. So we're going to go to the contact. So I'll jump over to my contacts area and I'll look for my contact that I want to work with for this particular opportunity. So here we are, Jackie, and I'll go down here, and I know that this is Jackie Astuto. There is my contact. And on the right-hand side, under opportunities, are all of the opportunities that I have worked with this particular client, this particular contact. So now that we have that, okay, so now that we have that kind of like with us, we're going to open up the one that we used this morning because I'm going to continue it along. So you can actually watch these two sessions back to back, and that will hopefully kind of take you through the process of this DocuSign. All right, here we are inside of the opportunity. The opportunity has the details, and oh look, the last synchronization of this opportunity was on August 31st, and all the fields that are checkboxed here have been synchronized with DocuSign. If you're wondering what happened there, again, check out the last class there. So we could synchronize the transaction again if anything popped in there. If not, I'm not going to worry about it because I'm going to go right to the Documents tab here. And on the Documents tab, I already have the checklist loaded up here, and it is for a New Hampshire listing. The listing itself is in here, all of the details of the contact, and we have a co-buyer. They're all in here, and I've already created the transaction in DocuSign. So I'm going to go to that transaction, and this is where we're going to start. By the way, did you notice to get to the DocuSign room, I did not go directly to DocuSign. I went to the Documents tab of the question of the opportunity in question, and that's how I got to the DocuSign room. Now, when I'm looking at this DocuSign room here, I'm going to show you something that is, again, going to make your life a little bit easier. I'm going to kind of back up a little bit from inside of DocuSign. So look where we are. We're inside the rooms area, and we are specifically inside of a room called Jackie Astuto Listing 7 Autumn Lane. And I have one document here. So this particular room is one of many that I have in my system, right? So let me go back and look at all of the rooms for one moment. So I'm going to click on the Rooms tab at the very top of the screen, and poof, there's all of the rooms that I have going on inside of my DocuSign right now. So I want to show you something that's happening here that will hopefully make this kind of come into focus for you on why there are problems accessing forms inside of DocuSign. And it's actually to do with the icons that you see right here. You see all these little yellow icons here that say Keller Williams Coastal, Keller Williams Coastal. And then over here you see this Robert Vincent. Oh, and then you see Keller Williams Coastal and Robert Vincent. Let me explain that for a moment. What this is immediately telling me as somebody who's a tech guy and I solve problems all day long. Well, I try to solve problems all day long. Sometimes they elude me. What can I do? But I try to solve problems all day long. So when I come into someone's DocuSign and they're saying that they're having a problem, one of the first things I look at is, are we talking about a problem with a room that was created from command? Or are we talking about a problem with a room that was created outside of command? Oh, say what? I can tell you right now that this document room, this wire fraud thing right here, this guy has probably got problems in it because it was not created from within command. It was created here on this page by clicking new and saying, I'm going to create a new document or a new DocuSign room. And I'm going to call this one bad room. And when I say bad, well, okay, sure, we'll leave a double BA there. All right, we'll go fix it. All right, bad room. And we'll say, okay, the responsibility is the agent owner. And look at this. Okay, that's all my room role is there. Select my side. I'll take a listing side. Country here. And you know what? I'm going to even put a photo in here. I'm going to hit upload a photo just because I like my little photos of my dog here, my little busy girl. So she is, where's my girl? Where? Oh, let's take a look here. I'm completely wasting your time right now looking for busy. There she is. So I will go ahead and save this. And now I have a room. I have a room that I've created in DocuSign that once again, if I go back to my rooms listing, I'm going to see Robert Vincent, the room. Here's my little girl busy. So I'll go in here. Now I'm going to go in here and I'm going to show you right away where the problems come in. Documents. I'll click add and I'll say DocuSign form. And I'm going to go up here and I'm going to search for wire fraud. And it's going to be in this one here, wire. There it is, wire fraud. KW wire fraud alert. Boom! Bring it in. There's that wire fraud alert. I'll click on the wire fraud alert and I'll open that little puppy up here and see what we get. Wire fraud alert. There it is. Okay. So maybe this is good. Maybe it's bad. We'll see what happens in a moment. I'll go ahead and refresh the screen. And anything that I do, oh my gosh, there's a sample statement on this. What the heck? Oh, I better call tech support because I've done this before 100 times and I've never seen this sample thing on here. It doesn't show up here, but when I go to try and put it in a room, it shows up. Boy, there must be something broken in DocuSign. It's not. You have no connection here. None whatsoever to command. Because you have no connection to command, the system is stopping you saying, you're trying to create a room with a real estate transaction that is not associated with the Keller Williams command system. It doesn't know, and I'll go back to the details to prove this, it doesn't know who this transaction is for. It knows it was created by you, Robert Vincent, but it is not under the umbrella of Keller Williams Coastal Lakes and Mountains Realty. I could do this all day with the problems that you'll encounter. The reality is we don't want to do it this way. We don't want to introduce errors. So backing that all up, once again, in command, you create the DocuSign room, go to the DocuSign room, and you will not have these problems. In addition, all of the information from the command details, the contacts, the property, it all comes over. Now that it's here, I keep on beating this dead horse, and I hate to say it, it's because I keep on having to kind of undo these things that happen. So let's not do that anymore. All right, so here we are in the proper room, a room that was created. I'll go back to the room listing here so you can see what I'm talking about. The room that was created within command. So it's got the little KC here, and I'll go ahead and open that room. And I know that this is actually the room that was just created because it's the most recent room. We talked a little bit ago about how all of the information transfers over from command. So everything that's on the details page came from command. It came from the white pages in Keller Williams. It came from the MLS listing. All of that pulled together and put this information together for you. All the seller with their roles. We talked about that. Let me restate this. Jackie Astuto has assumed the role of seller 1 in my DocuSign room. Seller number 2, John Morgan, has assumed the role of seller 2. If I keep going down here, listing agent 1, Robert Vincent is the role, has assumed the role of listing agent 1. There are no more people in here. So if I close this out, I don't have any buyers in the room. It's just a listing. I'll go ahead and close all this out here. And let's again, seller 1, the role is now occupied by Jackie Astuto. This is going to be critical in understanding why and how the documents will move smoothly through this process. Because we've defined who's who and what they do, we're going to now move forward. All right. On the Documents tab now, inside of our brand new room, I'm going to go ahead and remove this. This was the property disclosure. And we're going to start off by talking about the room. Now, the room itself has, in the documents area, which is where we're at now, to the left of that, we have the details. We were just looking at that, talking about Jackie Astuto assuming the role of seller 1. The people area, a lot of people think that this is an area where you need to bring in outside people. You can, but generally speaking, you won't need to. The people that need to be in this room right now are KW, which is the compliance, and you as the agent, and of course the administrator behind the whole thing. So the people area, you can bring people in, but again, not generally necessary. If we can identify who people are on the details page in their role in this transaction, we do not need to invite people to the room. All we need to do is have them available to sign the document, to not necessarily get into this room. The envelope section, I'm going to go ahead and remove this envelope, because this was a little test one I did earlier to kind of give you a quick little demonstration. We're going to create a whole brand new one. In the envelope section here, this is where we create the manila envelopes that we slide the documents into and send them off for signature. Right now, we don't have our stack of envelopes. We have nothing to go through. So nobody sent anything. So the file cabinet of envelopes is completely empty. Messaging section, if we were connecting with room members, we would use this to communicate inside of this DocuSign room. We don't need that because, again, we really don't generally, and there are reasons for this, but generally we don't need that. The history, love the history. Did I do this? Did I do that? When did I do this? When did I do that? That is in the history section of this room. Every room has its own history setting. Let's go back to the documents area and let's talk about what we're here for. In this area, we have the option to add documents to the room. There are basically 2 types of documents, and I'm not talking about file format, like a PDF, a Word document, Excel file. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is 2 types of documents. There are generally 2 types of documents that we can put in this room. Forms that are going to be filled out electronically through the signature process, and PDFs or Excel files or Word files or any other kind of document that we can bring in here. Forms are templates. Forms are not really real. They're just a blank form that you put in some basic information and you use that as a shell to send off for signature. What comes back signed is a signed form or a signed document, and it's in the form of a PDF. Okay? That's basically what happens. We take a template, we kind of pre-fill information as needed. We put this into an envelope and say, you, fill this part out here, sign this here, and you send it off. And the electronic side of it happens on their email in their service. Then it comes back to the room in the envelopes area and says, hey, this person has signed it. Here's a copy of the signed form, copy of the form that is signed. And that signed form is now a PDF. And then it comes back to the documents area. Let's take one super duper simple one and let's run it through. So here we are in the documents area. I'll click add on the right hand side because I want to add a form to be filled out, not a document, not a PDF. I want to add a form. So I'm going to click document forms, DocuSign Forms. It opens up my selector. Now in this window, and we're going to go over this again, so don't worry if you're kind of stumped by some of these things here. But in this window right now, there are groups, and these were put together by the KW team here at Coastal Lakes and Mountains. And then there are libraries. The groups are sets of forms for typical situations. Here is the Coastal Lakes and Mountains for the advertising policy, escrow, wire, and getting paid at the table. The next one here is the template folder, which contains the buyer templates, general disclosure, consent, wire fraud, brokerage, but they're all buyer-centric, okay? Then we have the same kind of folder for listing-centric. All of the documents in here are for the New Hampshire buyer listing-centric. Now, it's not all of the documents, right? It is a select few of the documents that are, in this case, 3 are required, and these ones are generally going to be used, all right? The library one down here, the KW463 library, is all of the documents that were loaded in by KW463, this market center. And here are some of the things that you will need for the market center to complete your transactions through compliance. The NHAR forms are New Hampshire Association of Realtors. I did say that right, I hope. This is the NHAR forms that are required by the NHAR. Now, this is nice because we can get all of these documents anywhere throughout here, and we can bring any of those documents into our system. I'm going to keep it super duper duper simple, and what we're going to do is we're going to have a brokerage relationship disclosure, and we're going to do it as the seller. And the reason I'm doing that is because this is a listing transaction. So easily for me, seller, I put a checkbox next to it. Again, I'm just going to do one to walk you through how simple this can be. I select my form and I hit add selected. The form is now in the documents area. It's a form. It's not a document. Even though we talk about adding documents, adding forms, adding all this stuff. This is a form. When we click on this, it opens up the form viewer / form editor. Now, one of the things that you need to know about this screen is designed for you as the agent to edit as needed, but only the places that you as the agent can edit. So for example, if I come down here to the bottom, I can edit the seller's name, which by the way is here because I created the transaction from command. All right. The second on this one, the seller number 2, right there, because of the relationship. The Keller Williams Coastal Lakes and Mountains is my license and holder. This is where I'm going to go, Robert Vincent. This is information that I can change and edit because this is stuff that I can manage before it's sent out for signature. If I come down to the bottom of the bottom page, I've got the address, and this is filled out from the details tab, which again came from all of the information in the listing from command. It's all there. It's all ready to go. This document requires pretty much nothing. I don't need to do anything else to this unless for some reason something's wrong. Oh, it looks like New Hampshire is missing. I'll put in New Hampshire. Boom. Oh, little hint by the way. I changed the field for state from nothing to have the letters NH in it. That value has now been updated on the details tab of this DocuSign room to now show in New Hampshire. It was missing, now it's there. And any form that uses that field for state that may have been blank will not be blank now because I have updated it in the details area and on this form and any other forms that use that field. All right, I'll save and close this. All righty. So we're saving and closing. There it is. Now, there's the brokerage relationship disclosure for the seller. And again, this is a listing, so this is the one. super simple. We're going to send this out for a signature. So I'm going to right click this file. When I right click, I get a whole bunch of stuff on this menu, including the ability to split this document. It's a couple pages, so I wouldn't want to split it. But if I end up getting a document back from somebody where they took 5 or 6 or 10 documents, printed them out, signed them, and then scanned them as a single document, you can already feel your blood boiling, can't you? You can split those documents into their correct document size, page numbers, and correct document names using the split feature. That's an advanced, well, it's not advanced. It's really not advanced, but it's more of an intermediate thing that we're not going to cover right here. But what I am interested in is the create envelope. So I'm going to go ahead and click on create envelope. So I right clicked the document in the documents window and I said create envelope. So now, just like the old days, I have an envelope now. Do I have an envelope? Here's my envelope. So I've got my little envelope, okay? And I've already got one document in that envelope. So I got my little document in my envelope. So if I look inside this envelope right now, this is what happens when you buy stuff and you don't even remember what you bought. Did you think that it was going to be show and tell today? Who knew, right? This is making a lot of noise on the microphone. Here's my envelope. And in this envelope, I've got one document. And the document is the NHAR brokerage relationship form. The document is already filled out for what I need to be able to fill it out for. I'm sliding it into the envelope. The envelope needs to be labeled. It needs to know who it's going to, and it needs to know what's inside here and who is supposed to sign where. Okay? So now that we have that basic information, let's finish out the envelope so that we can send it electronically. Number one, I want to name the envelope. And the envelope name is going to be Brokerage Relationships Form to be signed. Okay? And down here, that was for me, by the way. This is for me to know what is in this envelope. If I go down a little bit further here, I'm going to skip over the recipients for a moment. I'm going to say down to the message to all recipients. Okay? This is the message that they will see in their email. All right? So in here, hi, Jackie. Actually, you know what? This is for the subject, so let's do a little more professional. Brokerage relationship forms to be signed and returned. There we go. I'll come down here to the email message. Hi, Jackie, comma, here are the brokerage relationship forms that we talked about on the phone this morning. Please sign and return them to me at your earliest convenience. Dictation is awesome until it actually captures what you're exactly saying. So now I have a message to the people who are receiving it, and I also have the subject line. I also have, for me, the envelope name so that I know in the stack of envelopes that come back in this transaction what documents are in which envelopes. Okay. Now let's talk about this middle section, adding the documents to the envelope. We already did that. We already put one document in this envelope. And we have that document right here. We can view it. So if I click on this here, it's going to open it up and say, this is the document that is in this envelope. And by the way, down here, we see the address and we see where the people are going to sign. And you can see that this is no longer, it's not an editable thing. This is just a viewer, right? So that is the document that's in here. Now let's talk about putting the people and the relationship to the fields that they have in the room. So I'll click on Add Recipient. Who's going to receive this document? So I'm going to start off by choosing PreTag Roles. Why? Because remember on the details page when I said we have now given Jackie Astuto the role of Seller 1. John Morgan is now assumed the role of Seller 2, and I am the agent and I have assumed the agent role. Because we know who is for what role, all we have to do is match up the fields on this document with those individuals. So to do so, the listing agent is in fact me. The seller 1 is in fact Jackie. All right, and here's what I'm going to do. Because I don't have for the seller 2 I do have a person in the room, okay, and that person is John Morgan. John Morgan's using a fake email address. So I don't want to do a fake email address for right now. So I'm going to do this with just myself, the listing agent, which is a real email address, and also for the seller one for Jackie, so that you can see what actually happens in the transaction. So now that I've defined who the roles belong to, the listing agent is Robert, the seller one is Jackie. I can say, put those people in the room. And when I do this, it adds number one and number one, number one and number one. Dictation does not like your allergy voice. You're killing me, Brooke. Oh, I like that. It always seems to catch my ums and oopses and my restates and my I'll say that agains every time. All right, so here we are with, again, the add recipients to envelope. We have the ones and the ones here. The ones are actually the order in which people are going to receive this to sign it. So right now, if they both say one, then it's going to go out like a shotgun. It's going to go out where this is going to go out to both recipients at the same time. So they're both going to receive it at the same time, and it doesn't require one person to sign it first, and then after that person signs it to go on to the next person. But we can. We can say that we want maybe Robert to sign it first, and we want Jackie to sign it second. Now we can do that by actually just dragging this around into different positions. And once we're done, we can then specify the numbers. Look at this. Here, look what happened. Robert Vincent 1, Jackie Astuto 2. So now I've specified Robert first, Jackie second. That's going to mean that when I show you this demonstration, it's going to send it out to me. I have to sign it. And then when it comes back into the system, then it will send it out to Jackie. Now, in the case of this little class that I'm teaching right now, it's going to take a moment for it to actually go through, but I want you to see that process so that you can understand how it works. On the right-hand side of these roles now, we also have what this person needs to do. The default is that they need to sign it, but we can also say that they need to view it. So just a view. You need to look at this, sir. Hey, boss, you want to look at this? You got anything to say? Nothing? All right, I'll take it out of your way. They can receive a copy. They're just receiving a copy, don't need to sign anything anywhere. Then we can also specify a recipient where this is a kind of a more complex thing where we're sending it to someone to give it to someone else. So proxy. And then finally, a witness for the signer, which is literally we need somebody to see this and have it be signed. We can also do security here. We can do more and add access. Without getting into this, you specify a password that you then secretly give to the single person who is supposed to sign this and nobody else, and only they will be able to open this for signature. And then you can also add a private message. If you make a mistake, you can always remove this person. All these people on here are going to be the same thing. Check the emails to make sure that each of the recipients has got the right email in here so that they're not, going to their third or fourth version of their email. Make sure you check that. Make sure that that is in there and it's correct. If it's not, you can change it here. But more importantly, if it's wrong here, it's wrong in command. It's wrong in the details tab. It's wrong. So you probably want to go back and fix it for the next time you go through doing this, because one time changing it, okay. 2 times changing it, forget about it. 3 times changing it, you're spinning your wheels, okay? All right, so now that we have our 2 recipients, we can now move on to show you the magic of why PreTag Roles work so well. If this next section looks to you like magic from Harry Potter, then call me. Call me because we need to talk. So here's what happens. On the next screen, the PreTag Roles. Robert Vincent is the listing agent, and Jackie Astuto is the seller number 1. The PreTag Roles have automatically been pushed onto the document for where those signatures need to take place, and it has aligned the person with the role and put the fields on here for us. So we have the blue representing Jackie, and we have Robert Vincent, the agent, represented in here in the yellow. Okay, we have initials here. Now remember, this is the declined to sign form. That's different. Now this document is ready to go, and now I don't need to do anything. I can add information here if I wanted to using these fields, but this is the beauty of the system. It's designed to capture the information as needed. Anything else is ancillary. But I see people doing it where they're actually putting all the required stuff on here because they didn't use PreTag Roles. And that's just a waste of your time. You have way more things to do than that. Let's do it with the system so that the system does it for us. All right, this thing's ready to go. I don't need to make any changes here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and hit send. Now it's going to send out to who? That's right. It's going to go out to me first, Robert, because I'm number 1 on the list. So what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and show you in my Gmail here. I'm going to do it all so you can see it right here. So here's Gmail, and look at that. Right inside my Gmail. Brokerage relationship forms to be signed and returned. Okay, now here I'm going to cheat just a little bit because I'm on your side as an agent, okay? The reality is I didn't need to leave DocuSign for me to do the signature here. And the reason that's true is because I'm the first signer. And because I'm the first signer, work with me here for a second. I'm going to go back to that room here, the envelope. I'm sorry. I'm going to go back to the envelope. And here you can see, I'll make it so that it looks like the icons, which you might be more familiar with. Here is the envelope. It took me out of that whole field chooser area and dumped me back into my envelope list. So my envelope says, needs my signature. So if it needs my signature, I got to leave and go to my email and do the signature stuff, right? No. DocuSign is smart. It knows that you're logged in and it needs your signature. So you can actually click right on here where it says needs my signature. And look at that. There's a sign button just for you because you do happen to be in position number 1. This would not light up if you had put yourself in position number 2, requiring signer 1 to sign first. After they signed, then it would be blue and lit up for you to go. But I'll go ahead and leave this again so that I'll do it the long way so that you are a little bit more familiar with it maybe. So here in my email review document, it opens up a DocuSign window here. It is kind of weird that I'm doing this because I have an account already and I'm like the agent. So it's kind of a little bit of both. It's not really the consumer level, but you get the idea. So here it says, there's your document. Go ahead and sign it. So I'll click continue. And it says here, start. So I'll start. You're familiar with this, right? Look at this. I can't do anything with Jackie Astuto. It's not my place to sign that part. I'm only supposed to sign here. Sign, initial, and I think that's pretty much it. It says finish. So I'll go ahead and hit finish. Now, the document is going to go back to the envelope, and then the envelope is now going to recognize that the first seller, as required, has signed the document. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. And I'm actually going to close this too to keep things nice and clean. I'll close my Gmail. And here back in my envelopes area, I'm going to refresh my envelope. And my envelope is now going to, well, let's see if I can refresh it again because I did sign it. Oh, there it is. It's already done. Listing agent Robert Vincent has already signed the document. Seller 1 Jackie Astuto, let's go check her email and see what we've got. Let me go ahead and swap this. Let me open up Jackie, which means I've got to go over here and tell it to look at the command inbox 2. So this is my client's email. And here it is. Robert Vincent via DocuSign has sent something for you to review and sign. Now this is actually a client email that I've created. So here is the review document. Look at my little picture there. So now Jackie is signing in as herself. Here's Robert. Robert has asked you to sign this. Hi, Jackie. Here are the brokerage relationship forms that we talked about on the phone this morning. Please sign and return at your earliest convenience. Great. I agree to the terms. Thank you, Robert, for sending me that. I'll click continue. And looky here. Start is going to take me to the only place that I, as seller 1, need to sign. I can already see that the first person who did, in fact, sign this was Robert, and that signature is taken care of. So I'll sign it. Boom. Oh, you know what? Would you like to change your signature, ma'am? You know what? No, I like it just the way it is. I'll go ahead and hit adopt that signature and sign. Boom. Done. Click finish. That's literally how long it takes somebody to sign it, barring the fact that they're going to read it for about 4 weeks. 3 weeks. Now, you might want to tell your clients that when they see this little you've finished signing screen, they don't have to do this. They can just say no thanks because all that's doing is asking them to sign up for DocuSign. They don't need to do that. Okay. So there is my sign for Jackie. And we already know that the one that I did earlier for Robert is already taken care of. So let me come back in here. I'll go back to my envelopes, and I'll go back to my envelopes. Boy, that's a small screen there. Let's try that. Hello. I want you to be the right size. Oh, that is so bizarre. Do you see that? See how small that screen is? I think I need to fix that. Well, I am running the beta on this, so maybe that's what's going on. Let me go and So now I have to tell Andrew that this is being funky. All right, fine. I'm going to. Oh my God, I can't even resize it, can I? Can I do this? Okay. All right. So let's do. Let's go try a different one here. We'll go with local share only, and it's going to be for. Don't worry. Pay no attention to the screen right now. This is what happens when you use technology and act like it works for you. Google Chrome envelopes. There it is. Oh, whew. All right, we're living. So now, here is the envelope. And again, this one has been signed, but let me go ahead and refresh this because now it should show that I have already signed this. And there it is. Jackie has signed and I have signed. If I go back to my envelope listing, it shows is completed. So remember I talked a moment ago about the document coming back to me, right? So the document comes back to me in an envelope. Here's my envelope. This is the envelope that says completed, and I open up that envelope, and now through the magic of mail, I've got an envelope that has my document, my signature, and the signature of my my client. At this time, to put that document into command, I'm pretty much ready to go. All I need to do is say, okay, there's the envelope. I don't get the documents from the envelope. The envelope has already been emptied into the documents area. So let's take a look at the documents area. So here is the documents now as we want to see them. And check it out. There's actually 3 documents in here now, 3 different pieces of paper. One is the form that we had created initially. This form has not changed. In fact, there's no signatures on this form. If I click on this now, you will see that in fact, down at the bottom, this is just the little old form, right? This is just the form. This has nothing to do with the signatures. I could send this again and get new signatures. I could do whatever I want with it. The form is the form. The signed version is now green. And if I click on the green signed version and I go down to the end here, I can see that this is what came back with the signatures and with everything that I need on it. That's the version, the green version that I need to put into my command. The red PDF, well, what the heck is that? It's the little thing that was generated automatically. What is this? Certificate of completion. So we have a graduate here. Oh, wrong song. The certificate of completion is basically saying this document is now legal because it has been signed. And here is the certification of that signature. That certification is a bonus document that you do not need to upload into command, okay? That little signature area is just, again, for you. That completed thing is just for you. Now, the one that we want to move to command is the one with the green form on it. To move this document to command, we go back to command. Now, I know that this was the brokerage relationship form that I had signed. So when I'm in command, all I have to do and remember, I'm still in the opportunity for this transaction, right? So for this particular one, the brokerage relationship form is the only form that's been signed. If I click over here on add a file now, I can add a file and it will say DocuSign for the option of where to go to find that document. Now here's something interesting. There were 3 documents in there a moment ago. There are only 2 to choose from here. One of them says certification, not interested. One of them says the brokerage relationship disclosure, seller, signed, and it's a PDF. That's the document I want. And I can go ahead and hit assign. Now that I've done that, I've completed the process of getting a document to someone, getting them to sign it, bringing it back into DocuSign, and then of course taking that signed document back into Command, and it is here now. Okay. Very, very cool. So let me go ahead and see if I can bring myself back up here. So at the end of the day, what's really nice about this is we're just taking a straight line approach to having these documents signed. We're sending them from Command. We know what we need. We go into the DocuSign room. We go and load up the form we're going to use. We complete the form as we need to prior to sending it. We send out the form using PreTag Roles to define who is what on the document itself. Who is the role of seller? Who is the role of second? Who is the role of the agent? All that stuff. And then we just send out the document for signature. The document comes back to us in the envelope, and the envelope is automatically emptied into the documents area. And that's something that's kind of important here. Let me bring that back up to your attention here. When we were in the envelopes area, the envelope came back and it said completed. We don't need, frankly, to open this up and look at the documents. Frankly, we just don't need to do that. You could do it for verification, but guess what? You can do that elsewhere. So you don't really need, all you're looking for is the signed. All right, so we know that it says completed here, so we don't even need to open that up. We can go right back to the documents area and look for the green document that matches the name of the one that we're looking for and click on that document. And it will open up the actual signed version, not editable at all, can't touch it. And then that way we know that it's come back into the documents area and it is ready for us. All right. So a little pause here. I had some people in the room on, looks like the Facebook room. We got a few of you there. If you have any questions, go ahead and pop them in the chat while I kind of get ready to talk about this next little section here. And in doing so, keep in mind that there is no question that is too goofy unless it's Brooke and you're coming up with some kind of weird question just to try and stump me, which would not surprise me. So talk amongst yourselves. Have you guys noticed how warm it is lately? Who knew? September tomorrow. Whew, not fun. Too much. Too fast. Okay. So here's the thing. The next thing we're going to talk about is multiple documents and organizing what's going on in this room, because we got 3 things now out of 1. So it's the next thing we do, we're going to potentially end up with 6. So we're multiplying like rabbits in here. So some organizational things. Before we even start to get into multiple documents and working with that, let's talk about what we can do to keep ourselves organized inside of the DocuSign area. And that is, number 1, we can actually change our view to show us the documents in a kind of a list view. I personally like this view a little bit more because I can see the entire name of the document. I'm not really interested in the preview of the document showing up in the thumbnail. I'm not really interested in that. I like being able to see the name of the document. I already know what the document looks like. And as you, as an agent, start to work with these more and more, you will, of course, also know what each of these documents look like. But I'm getting a little bit tired of all these things showing up. It's 3, 6, 9, 12. So let's talk about organization. There's actually a folder in this room already called Room Docs. We're in it. We're in the Room Docs folder in the documents area. They gave us one to start. If we want to add more, we can. We can add as many as we want. So the structure might look like this. We have one called Room Docs. We could say that that represents maybe the blank forms, because that's kind of where we started with this. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use some techniques here. And I'm going to, let's see, can I do it from here? Oh, maybe I can't. Oh, I can't rename the first one. Too bad. That's not cool. I thought I could rename this guy here. Nope. Oh, I have a sound for that, but I don't have it in front of me. All right, so let's add another room. to go ahead and start organizing. So we're going to click on the Actions button in the top right-hand corner. We're going to add a folder. Adding a folder. Nice. The folder is going to be certificates. Certificates. And I'll create that. Look at that. Certificates right up there. I got nothing in it. If I switch back over to my little list view, there's the certificates section. I'm going to add another folder. And this one is going to be called, you guessed it, Signed. This is the big bad boy. This is the one that I want so that I know where all of my signed documents are. I can easily now take any of these documents and just drag them into the correct folders. So brokerage relationship form, this is the signed. I'm going to drag it up here to the blue area that says signed, and I'll drop it. Boom, it's in the signed docs. Here is the certificate. I'll drag the certificate up here. Boom, it's in the certificates. So if I go back and I look at this now in the thumbnail view, all the certificates are here, all the signed docs are here, and all the room docs are down below. Loving it. You're thinking, oh, that's nice, but really organization is just overrated. Let me show you how unoverrated it is, or underrated. Maybe that's a word. I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to remove in command. I'm going to remove the document that I already loaded up here. Check it out. Brokerage relationship form in command, add a file, DocuSign. I am only interested in the folder for signed docs. Since I have created that folder, I can now restrict what I'm looking at to only documents that have been signed. This will make a big difference when you have a bunch of them that you're trying to look at, okay? So I can then assign this document here. Please, oh, select it. Well, that would help. Assign. Using the folders in DocuSign is a great way to stay organized. And again, I'm a big fan of the list version here, so I can see that the signed ones are here and so forth. All right. So now I'm going to bring in two documents now, and we're going to talk about what happens when you have more than one document to be signed. All right. So I'm going to go up to the Add button at the top here, and I'm going to say DocuSign Forms, because that's where I'm going to get my forms to be signed. So in the Sign Forms area here, I'll say, okay, let's go for the wire fraud. So I'll see there's the wire fraud, and let's go with I'm going to come down here, and just because I want to use something that has some more fields on it, I'm going to choose. Gosh, boy, something with some more fields. Boy, there's so many general. How about general disclosures? How about that? General. Come down here. Oh, okay. Well, is it in here? There it is. KWCM general disclosure. There it is. Okay, cool. So I got two. All right. So now look at this. I got 3 total blue forms in the room, and those 3 forms are the general disclosure, which I just brought in, the wire fraud, and the brokerage relationship disclosure form. All right. So we'll start off with the wire fraud here, and I'm going to click on it to see if there's anything that I need to fill out as the agent before I send the document out. So we'll look at the wire fraud. This looks like it's going to be pretty simple here. Oh, look at that. No sample statement. Oh, must be done right. So here's the customer client signature area, the 7 Autumn Lane, which is the address. Looks good. That's all that needs to be signed. We're happy and very, very much digging it from there. Now, next up is we'll look at the general disclosure to see again if there's anything I as the agent need to fill out on this document before I send it out. So I'll come down here. It doesn't look like I need to personally fill stuff out, but it does fill out stuff from the details area. So that's filled out for me. And it's only a single pager. I thought there would be a little bit more, but nah, that's fine. That'll do for now. So now those 2 documents are ready to go. I don't need to fill anything out here. It's going to be just really signatures. Now that I want to do multiple documents in a single envelope, I can select with the radio buttons, put a little checkbox here, and I can say those 2 documents that I have selected on the left, I'm going to now add those 2 documents by right-clicking either of them and choosing Create Envelope. Now it's going to bring me into another envelope. Now this is a brand new envelope. And this one here is going to be for the disclosures and the wire fraud. Disclosures and wire fraud documents. Excellent. So now I have a name for my folder, so my envelope, so that I know what's in it. Next up, we're going to come down here to the message. Remember I skipped over the recipient. We'll come back to that. Please sign both the wire fraud and the general disclosure agreement. Thank you. Actually, I always mess up the subject. Wire fraud and general disclosure forms. And here, please sign both the wire fraud and the general disclosures forms for me so that I can be cool. Thank you, period. All right, so now I've got my message, I've got my the subject there, everything's ready to go. Now, add recipient. But here's the catch before I start this. Coming back on screen for you here. Here's the catch. There's 2 documents in the room now, which means there is going to be 2 places where I need to put the right people in, because each document has its own specifications for seller 1, seller 2. So let's go back into that and let's take a look. Add recipient. We're still using PreTag Roles. PreTag Roles. So now check it out. Here in the middle of this dialog box, the general disclosures 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 things in here that say general disclosures. Does one of them say the wire fraud? Disclosures KW463. Oh, okay. Well, I thought it was the wire fraud one in there. Well, I guess I picked a bad form. But here's buyer 1. All right. Buyer 1 for the general disclosures is going to be Jackie Astudo. And then because we have the different things here, actually she's seller 1. Ooh, look at that. See, look at that. I did a bad thing. Did a bad thing. So I'll go ahead and get out of that and I'll try that again because I don't want to put the wrong person in the wrong spot. So buyer 1, buyer 2, buyer agent. We don't need those. We need just seller 1, which is Jackie. And I'm going to skip John O'Gorn because I don't have a real email. And listing agent, which is going to be for me, right? So we'll go ahead and put, boy, I don't like how that does that. And that is going to be for me. Now, this didn't actually work the way I thought it. I probably should have planned a different document rather than the wire fraud, because the wire fraud document doesn't require a signature. So we'll go ahead and hit add selected here, and that will put Jackie and me on it. Let's go check that wire fraud thing. I feel like it should have a signature spot on it. Did I? So there's the general, and there's the wire fraud. Customer client. And it's Jackie. Yeah, no, it does have it. Okay. So there you go. So now remember, this stuff here is so important because we have the stuff for me to sign by the roles I've defined for this user, and the fields for Jackie to sign as defined once again by the pre-tagged roles. Now that we have those all set up here, I'll go ahead and send that out once more, and we'll kind of let those 2 go out, and I'm not going to worry about them coming. Actually, you know what? Let me go ahead and sign them. I got Jackie over here on this page, and I got Robert over here, and let me go ahead and get that. Yeah, might as well finish out. We got a few minutes. So here is the wire fraud. I'll go ahead and do that actually I didn't do it the short way last time, so it needs my signature. Come in here, sign, and continue. Stat, sign. There's the Robert. Finish it. See, I don't need to sign it. Only Jackie needs to sign the second half. Boom. Done. Waiting for others. Now, I've already got that open on another screen here. Let me just go ahead and finish that up for you. And instead of showing you again, you already seen it once. So I will go ahead and sign for Jackie off screen. I'll let you look at me while I do that. Signing for Jackie off screen. Still signing for her off screen. There's 1. Sign. 2. Finish. Boom. Now we'll come back here. Back on screen. I'll refresh this little guy. And we'll see if it comes up with the full signature. Sometimes it takes a couple of seconds, just kind of like for the, it has to cross over the ocean and come back. I think there's some slowness in the way that the world is running today. So that's done. No thanks. Ding, ding, ding. Ding, 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 ding. Ding, 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 ding. 20 points. Name in the movie that's from. Brooke, I really would expect you to know that one. All right, here we are. Disclosures are signed. So remember, we had the brokerage relationship form. That was the name of my envelope. And now here's the disclosures and wire fraud. That's the name of my envelope. Both of these envelopes have been emptied into the documents area. And look at this. We're starting to get full here. Hey, there's the certification for the wire fraud. Let me go ahead and bring that up in here to the certifications. Clean that up. Here's the general for the wire, or the general disclosure. And I'll take the wire fraud and I'll put that in here with that. Look at this organization. Forms down below. Signed documents in the middle. Certificates at the top. You gotta love that. If we come back over to command now, and we're in this area here, and we know that we have the wire fraud. So here's the wire fraud. I can come over here, add a file. Once again, DocuSign. And I'm only looking for the signed docs, and boom, wire fraud. Okay. So I'm going to cancel this because I'm going to show you another cool way we can do it. All right, so instead of doing one by one, I do in this case only have 2 documents to bring into command, but I'm going to hit attach multiple files here above the document list. And when I do that, I'm going to say that all of my documents are still, once again, in DocuSign. And now I know that the wire fraud right here, so if I come down to the, I'll slide down a little so you can see it without it getting caught in there. If I look in the drop down arrow for where it says wire fraud, pick the document. There's the folder, certificates. There's the signed docs. So I know that I'm looking for in the signed docs field, the wire fraud. And I know that the general disclosure, which is, well, forget that it's in the wrong spot because I'm just going to do it right here. So here's the disclosure. I can come down once again and I can say that there is the general, boom, putting in 2 at once and attach them because I know where they are inside of my DocuSign room. Questions? If you have any, please feel free to shoot me an email and I will be happy to answer those questions. Let me go back to that one. Let's try this one now. If you have any questions, please feel free to shoot me an email. I'm going to bring up my contact screen here for you. And that, what I've just done for you right there is the basics of how to make sure that you keep this process simple for you. Watch this video again if you need. This is going to be available on YouTube after we complete it up here. And that YouTube is at kwtechtube.com there, second from the bottom. We also, remember, the robert.vincent@kwclm is my email. Timewithrobert.com is for where you can book time on my calendar, and it does get pretty full, so book early. KW Tech TV is when we meet via Zoom. That's my room that you can always come into. kwtechtube.com is where the YouTube videos are. They're all organized by Command 101. All of them have real easy to read names, and also some of the live stuff, all of the live stuff we do is there as well. And then finally on the Facebook channel, which is where you're at right now, facebook.com/groups/KWCLM, which is where you're at right now. And you always see those notifications when I am going live with that. Okay. DocuSign is a really, really cool tool. It's actually pretty easy if you let it do what it needs to do. Let it work for you. Don't try to fight it. And if you have any questions about why certain things aren't happening in DocuSign the way you expect them to work, reach out to me. I can help you out with that. That's it for now. You guys have an awesome day, and we will talk to you on Thursday for another go-round. Take care.